Hey YouTube, it is I again. Yes, it is I. And as you can see, I just got back from the Deathly Hallows midnight premiere. As promised, I said I would come back and give my own little review of what I thought, how I thought the movie went. And yes, this is the costume that I ended up wearing at the premiere. There were a lot of people dressed up. It is the Dumbledore Puppet Pal costume, complete with Dumbledore's wand, which I had ordered specifically for the premiere. And it's so nice, I think I'm going to have to end up collecting more wands of my own just for the fun of it. So let's get this review on the road. So if I sound a little hoarse today, it's because we actually did a good amount of yelling and screaming last night. Um, if you saw from my previous video, I had actually bought out a 136 seat theater, just bought out all the tickets, and essentially rented out our own private theater with a good number of my friends and their friends that they pulled in to make this work, which was it was amazing to be able to pull that off, especially since it gave us a chance to do a lot of the things that other people wouldn't have an opportunity to do if they just went to a into a public theater. We had costume contests, we had trivia contests. I gave away about $300 worth of prizes, including collectible wands, including the certificates of authenticity for Dumbledore, Snape, Hermione, and Voldemort. So it was a pretty good spread. I also gave away Marauder's map. I gave away a 24-karat gold-plated 24-karat gold-plated time turner, along with a display case, and then a lot of gift certificates. So it was a lot of fun. People seemed to really enjoy it, and I was very happy that the event was very well received. And you know, we didn't have to worry about camping out 5 hours before the movie. People just met me somewhere, and I gave them their tickets, and they just went straight into the theater, got their seats. It is the best midnight premiere that I've ever attended, and so I was so glad that everyone was able to pull that off with me. So, but let's get over to the actual review itself. So, a fair warning right now that there will be spoilers. So, if you haven't seen the movie yet or you haven't read the books yet, you might want to wait until afterwards. The movie starts off right away with the action. That's really the best way I could describe this movie, is more so than any of the other Potter films. It was pretty much action after action after action after action, and it just kept going. And it's not like Michael Bay action after action after action. I mean, because there was definitely, it definitely, it's a war. Rowling had said in one of her interviews that Deathly Hallows Part 1 was about a journey, and Part 2 is about war. The trio have just witnessed the death of Dobby. Voldemort has just completely defiled Dumbledore's grave and stolen his wand, and they realize that their next destination is Gringotts to acquire the next Horcrux, which is Hufflepuff's cup. Unfortunately, Hermione managed to get a hold of Bellatrix's hair, which they used to transform her into Bellatrix, which was a very, very humorous moment to have Helena, the actress who plays Bellatrix, play a 17-year-old girl. She said that in one of her interviews that was very enjoyable, and it seemed like she was having fun with it. And, you know, they go to Gringotts, many shenanigans happen in there, and eventually they end up going to Hogwarts, which is where the major climax of the entire series occurs. All of the students come together, all the staff come together to make their last stand versus Voldemort's forces, who are now starting to storm the castle. And then there's that big clash, and everybody's trying to work together, everybody's trying to stop Voldemort, while the trio is trying to do their thing, their part in vanquishing him completely. Everything that I wanted them to include in this film was included. I think that's why I um, really did enjoy this movie, is because when I read The Deathly Hallows, there were several key parts in the book, especially at Hogwarts, that I really thought they've got to include this in the film. And namely, things like uh, Neville having his time to shine. I love Neville. I love Neville. Absolutely Neville. And I'm telling you, the guy, Matt Lewis, the guy who played Neville, he turned hot overnight. I'm sorry. He really grew into a very, very attractive young man. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Rupert Grint and Daniel Radcliffe are pretty good-looking guys themselves, but Matt Lewis, Neville Longbottom, but Neville really, really shined in this film. I always rooted for him. He was always one of my favorite supporting characters, if not the favorite supporting character for me. Um, and he has some great, great, great scenes. All of the supporting characters, for the most part, had some great scenes. McGonagle, again, love McGonagle. I think of all the professors, minus Dumbledore, because it would be a little unfair to clump him into that category, because he's more than just a professor. But McGonagall kicked some serious butt in this movie, which I was very happy, very, very happy with, because I absolutely love Maggie Smith. Um, Other things that absolutely had to be in the movie was of course Molly Weasley. Molly Weasley's moment to shine when Bellatrix was trying to attack Ginny. I know I know I was not the only person who thought if they don't include that line, and for those of you who read the book, you know which one I'm talking about. If they didn't include that line in the movie, then it just destroyed the whole film. And I remember sitting there in the theater when the scene cuts over to Bellatrix fighting Ginny, and I looked about at least a third of the theater leaned in closer, at least a third, because they were anticipating, waiting for Molly to jump in and say that line, and she did. And the uproar, the cheering and screaming and yelling hysterically over that one line um, was quite amazing. The kiss, the kiss was actually the one that I was anticipating the most of all the films, even more so than the Molly Weasley line. I thought the kiss was decently well. It would have been nice to have had a better view, because I think Rupert's head kind of covered everything. But maybe it would have been nice to see a little bit of lip locking, um, like we actually did see with Harry and Hermione in part one. But it was fine. It was fine, and I thought it happened a different moment than it did in the book. But I thought in the context of what was happening in the film, it made sense, and um, I thought it was well done. Snape's memories were very, very well done. I'm not sure how much it might make sense to someone who didn't read the books, because there were a lot of visions that were flashing, forward. But I think it was done in such a way that even if you didn't understand, even if you didn't read the books, you still kind of understood the whole point of the scene, which was Snape was actually in love with Lily, and this was pretty much the main reason why he has stayed within the side of good. I use that term loosely, because Snape is not 100% good. He's on the good side ultimately, but he's a flawed character just like everybody else pretty much in the book is, and including Dumbledore as well. And I just thought that uh, that particular sequence, the execution of it was very, very good. I think those were the main things that I really wanted them to include. There were definitely some parts that um, they they kind of skipped over, or modified a little bit. I would have loved for them to have included Harry using the Elder Wand to repair his wand, because I thought it was a very good message when he says something along the lines of, yeah, the Elder Wand is cool and powerful and all, but I kind of like my original wand. I kind of like the wand that I started with, and I intend to keep my old wand. And instead he ends up destroying the Elder Wand, which doesn't happen in the book, because I thought in the book they said that the Elder Wand couldn't really be destroyed per se, or at least until its last master passes away from normal causes, which is what I think Dumbledore and Harry were trying to do, to basically stop the cycle, stop the continuation of the Elder Wand's power, I guess, in future generations. So there was that change. But I mean, because they included everything else that I wanted, I was able to forgive them for that. I was surprised that they didn't really touch too much on Dumbledore's past in this film. You know, it was very, that was the big thing about book 7, was you really got to find out that Dumbledore wasn't really all that he seemed. He wasn't the paragon of good that Rowling had kind of placed him on a pedestal to be, which, you know, for many people, I think felt very soured by that. But at the same time, you know, I think it makes him a little more realistic. I mean, he's an old man, and he's gone through life making his own mistakes, and um, I think it's important to show that he is, in the end, even Dumbledore is human. And he even admits to Harry, whenever Harry compares himself to the greatness of Dumbledore, Dumbledore always tells him that Harry, you give me way too much credit. I'm not, you know, as awesome as you think I am, I do not think that I am nearly as worthy of such a title as you are, as Harry is. Um, and, you know, I can kind of see that. So I was surprised that they didn't include everything with him and Grindelwald, um, to very much detail. But I guess it didn't really have much to do with the overall plot of what was happening. It was interesting stuff to know when you were reading the book, but I guess, again, I can forgive them for not um, including that into the movie. The epilogue, that infamous epilogue that a lot of people have mixed feelings about, I thought the epilogue in the movie was done very well. Um, I thought that it was a really nice touch that they used the music from the original movie, uh, down to the music that the original movie ended with. Um, and you know, it just gave that touch, that taste of nostalgia. In general, it was very, very fun. It was very entertaining. It was just a very, very nice way to just put everything together. And I thought overall that the movie ended the series, you know, uh, ended the series exceptionally well, and just wrapped everything up in a nice big bow. I think I would probably give this film, uh, I would say I would give this film a 8.5 or 9 out of 10. 8.5 or 9 out of 10 I think is very, very good. Um, it definitely was a satisfying final movie for me. And I can't believe it's over. A lot of my friends have stated that with the ending of this movie, it's also the ending of their childhood, which I can definitely see, because this is a series that's been, this film series has been going on for 10 years now. I know that Rowling has said that she's not going to make any more books to continue Harry's story, which I actually like. I actually applaud her for that. I think she needs to end on a high note. However, I don't think that necessarily means that she should stop writing for the Harry Potter universe. Me personally, I always thought that if she were to write another Harry Potter universe book, what would be really cool is if she wrote a few books that talked about James and Lily's time at Hogwarts, that generation, you know, just I thought it would be really interesting to have some insight to take a look at the past and see, you know, some of the misadventures that James, Lily, uh, you know, Sirius, Remus, and Peter, and Snape, you know, got into with a slightly younger Dumbledore, and you know, I think that would be really, really cool. Way to go to all of the actors, the writers, the directors, and of course J.K. Rowling, um, for putting all of these films together. This has been a great, great 10 years watching this, and I think, you know, I don't think any other time in my lifetime there will be such a phenomenon quite like this ever again. And I look forward to seeing, you know, where Harry Potter goes from here. So, until next time, love yourselves and love each other.
Naked time!